When the Detroit Lions drafted Jameson Williams 12th overall in the 2022 NFL draft, we knew that he was going to be a work in progress. He had the knee injury he needed to recover from, and then that led to the suspension and the hamstring. And now, after him being able to play, what have he played? 3 games already. We are waiting to see more from Jameson Williams. And I have something to tell you guys that you're not going to like. Jameson Williams is trending bust. That's just the cold hard facts. And he is the only one that can change the narrative. He has to do more. He has to live up to the expectations in which he was drafted. That's just the bottom line. He was drafted 12th overall. He got to live up to the 12th overall expectations. I don't make the rules. I just talk about them, right? An unspoken rule. If you're going to be drafted in the first round, you are to make an immediate impact. Now, we knew that being hurt, he wasn't going to be able to do that. So we were patient and we waited till this year. Then the suspension comes. Then the hamstring comes. Then he gets an opportunity and he's dropping balls. Then he makes a spectacular touchdown catch that pretty much broke open the game. And then he's dropping balls again. Jameson Williams. I don't want this kid to fail, this young man to fail. I want to see him succeed. But there's a cold, hard reality in the NFL. It's called not for long. And teams will move on. Jameson Williams is 27 games away from the Detroit Lions having to decide on his 5th-year option. Now, you might say, well, Derek, why are we talking about a 5th-year option in the middle of year 2? Because before you know it, it'll be here. And the Detroit Lions, just like they had to do with Jeff Okudah, will have to make a decision with Jameson Williams. And we want to see the guy succeed. He was interviewed today by a couple of news personalities, and here's what he had to say regarding how he needs to do coming up.
I don't know, 6 catches. Six targets, no catches. I don't know. I was just more focused on the team and how we played. My performance, I guess I don't know. It can get better for sure. We got to get better.
Samuel, how important is it to keep your head up as you continue to go through these struggles and not get you down?
It's always important. That's the main thing you got to focus on because, you can't let one play define you, one game define you. You got to keep moving forward. It's not your last game playing. It's not your last down playing. So, you got to keep looking ahead.
Did you feel like it was?
I don't know, 6 catches.
And there you go. 6 catches, 0 receptions. I got to get better. A great man once said, it's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me. Jameson Williams is not what he says. It's not where he was drafted or who he is. It's what he does on the football field. And he has to be better. He has to do more. Those are words coming from his mouth. Now, as Detroit Lions fans, it seems as though we have a special. I talked about this today on my show, that to me, Jameson Williams is somebody that it's like we hold a special place for him. And I believe it's because when he was drafted, nobody expected the Detroit Lions to draft Jameson Williams. Coming out of college before his injury, some had him scouted as the top wide receiver in the draft, that he was going to come out. He probably would have been the first wide receiver off the board. Well, that injury changed that. Gave us an opportunity to get him. And I think the fascination with him is what we have seen him do in college and what we know he's capable of doing. But sometimes that doesn't always translate to the field. But he said he has to get better. And indeed he does. Because right now, things are not looking the best for Jameson Williams. Take a look at his stats. And I'll show you some good. Obviously, we know the bad, but I'll show you some good as well. And why he has time to change the narrative in his behalf. Looking at his career, his short career, after coming back, missing 11 games, playing 6. We all know the stat. He played 6 games, had 1 reception. That 1 reception was a touchdown. Had 9 targets. 9 targets, 1 reception, right? In 2023, he's played 3 games. He already has more receptions. He has 3 times as many targets as receptions, and he's got 55 yards. He does have 2 touchdowns. So the stats are there. They're in a way. You understand what I'm saying? Like you can see potential. You can see potential. But the issue that we have is if we go to the game log here. Here it is that in the 3 games that he played, he came back against Carolina. He had 2 receptions on 3 targets. He had 2 yards. He had and the win against Tampa Bay, he had that huge touchdown on 3 targets and then 2 receptions. But here, he's got 0 receptions off 6 targets for 0 across the board. That's a problem. That is a problem. If you were drafted 12th overall, you have to do better. But he said he needs to do better. He has to do better. And to keep his head up. And I know I'm a guy on the internet who talks about guys playing football. And I know it can be tough. And sometimes I think about these guys as men. And man, if another man was talking to me or about me like that, how would I feel, right? Even though he doesn't know that I'm here doing this stuff, but he reads it, he sees it. And I want him to keep his confidence. But I'm just here to tell you the cold hard facts. And the cold hard facts is we're talking about, what are we at now? 9 games into Jameson Williams' career. He has to do better. He needs to do better. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He has to do better. He knows this. You and I know this. All of a sudden, and I noticed something. When Brad Holmes was on the Insiders and he talked about Jared Goff, J-Mo, when he talked about Jameson Williams, he had a smile on his face. He lit up when he talked about Jameson Williams. Because of that, I think Brad Holmes might be a little blind. Might be a little blind to the reality. And the reality is, if Jameson Williams does not turn this around, he will not be a Detroit Lion. That's just the cold hard facts. That smile is going to turn into a straight face, and then that straight face is going to turn into a frown. You asked the Detroit Lions fans to have patience with Jameson Williams. That's one thing we don't have. We don't have. You don't have it with Jahmyr Gibbs. You should. You didn't have it with Aiden Hutchinson in year 1. You should. I remember after that first game against the Philadelphia Eagles, when he had 0 sacks, people were calling him a bust. I used an illustration, and that is the round in which you were drafted determines how long your fuse is, the fuse leading up to you being a bust. If you were drafted in the 7th round, you have a longer fuse, right? Brock Purdy, he can't be a bust. He was drafted the last person in the draft. He's not even supposed to be in the NFL, right? Being Mr. Relevant. It's very rare they work out. But if you're drafted in the 1st round, top 10, top 15, that fuse is shorter and shorter and shorter, right? So Jameson Williams has one of the shortest fuses leading up to bust in the NFL. He has a chance to turn it around, but he's got to catch balls. He's got to catch. If it hits him in the hands, he's got to catch it. That's just it. If he doesn't, he won't be here much longer. We're talking about year 3. We're talking about year 4, right? What I hear is give him some time. He's had 9 games. What I hear is Jamar Chase drop balls. Jamar Chase dropped balls in the preseason and a couple season games, regular season games. By 9 games in his career, Jamar Chase was a dog, period, right? So the excuses for Jameson Williams are running out. He is the only one that can change the narrative of how his story is going to play out. And that is to be the receiver that he was drafted to be. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts on Jameson Williams and him saying he has to be better. If you want to check out the full interview, can't talk this afternoon, I will leave it in the description and you can check it out. We're going to be having a conversation a year from now, 2 years from now. And I hope it's one saying how Jameson Williams turned it around. But there is a possibility that we could be having a different type of conversation. And I think it's time to take off the Honolulu blue glasses and see it for what it is. If he doesn't turn this around and change his own narrative, he will not be on this team much longer. He will be another 1st round pick who had massive potential, who couldn't cut it in the NFL. That's the last thing I want to see. Because if this guy gets going, if he can truly grasp that number 1 receiver ability, he will be what we drafted him to be. But the choice is up to him. Is he going to put in the work? Is he going to do what needs to be done? Brad Holmes said he needs to take accountability. Has he done that? Will he do that? We shall see. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.